Last night in Tampa Bay, the Lightning strike 6 times in Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final. They're back. They're right back in this thing against the Avs. Stamkos, Kucherov, Palat, Tampa Bay's top line, all notching 2 points apiece. Oh, yeah. Bring it on in, baby. Welcome to the Sweat presented by DraftKings. I am Emerson Lazio. We got another high-profile major winner making a move in the PGA Tour to live golf. And right now, he's still in the field. He's still in the field at the Travelers Championship this week. So we're going to talk about it with Jeff and Jason Sobel coming up. We got Garion versus Steve on the diamond, a Tuesday tradition unlike any other, plus some NFL news and notes we got to break down. But let's start with what went down last night in Tampa Bay. Oh, baby, they are so back, and so are the riveting RotoWire duo of AJ Scholes and Paul Bruno. Morning, gentlemen. So, Paul, after scoring 3 goals combined in the first 2 games, how the hell were the Lightning able to score 6 times and get right back in this thing?
Well, they showed us why they're the 2-time defending champs, didn't they? I didn't write them off because it's an old saying, but it's been repeated often in these playoffs. A series doesn't get dicey until a team loses a game at home. And that hasn't happened yet in this set. I thought the Lightning were in a very bad spot heading into this game after getting waxed in that second one. And without Braden Point, things looked pretty bad. And then you got that first goal that went to this coach's dispute there. And it turned out to be an offside by a hair, and that was a factor for a while. But then Colorado gets the lead anyway, and I thought, okay, this is interesting. What's Tampa going to do now? And boy, did they ever respond. They got a couple of goals late in the first, and they never looked back. And we have the prospect of a Game 4 where if Tampa wins, we got a 3-game series to decide the Cup, and I'm not really sure which way I go on that one if it gets to that stage.
I mean, AJ, it helps when your netminder morphs back into the feared netminder that he is. What else did the Lightning do to answer back? Or is it what the Avs did not do?
No, I put this one firmly more on what the Lightning did do here. I mean, you mentioned off the top that their top line had 2 points apiece, but I think what's even more telling is that nobody had more than 2 points in a 6-goal performance. Just the amount of depth here of guys that were contributing with goals or assists. The big concern, though, obviously, is Nikita Kucherov going down with, for now, we'll just call it a lower body injury. But if he's out, that could change the narrative here. Paul's right, though, as long as they can win at home. And we've seen this so far from Vasilevsky. Like the first couple of games of pretty much every series, except for the sweep, have been a little dicey. And then he suddenly finds his game. So I wouldn't be surprised to see another strong performance by him in Game 4 either.
Yeah, I mean, Vasilevsky, 37 saves on 39 shots and reduced the Avs to just 1 goal scorer. I mean, Gabriel Landeskog there, the only guy to find the back of the net for Colorado. Guys, let's look ahead here. Let's look ahead to Game 4. So let's check the series winner and series length props here. Any good value to be had after Game 3? What do you think, AJ?
Well, I was looking at some of the series player props here and looking specifically at leader for goals. I don't mind jumping on Stamkos for the most goals in this series at plus 1,400. He's only 2 behind Nichushkin and Landeskog here for the series lead. So that's really just one big game out of Stammer here. And that's a ton of value at plus 1,400. And really, if Kucherov doesn't play, you're going to have a more chance of Stammer scoring. I don't hate the safer play of Landy at plus 170, but to really get some value out of Stamkos here, I think is a good spot.
What do you think, Paul?
You know what? It's funny. I just saw a stat before we came to air this morning, and the Bolts have not given up a 5-on-5 goal at even strength in their last 6 home games in these playoffs. A remarkable stat. So that tells me I think they're gonna tie this series up. And I don't get the series odds yet at this point. After Game 3, the Colorado is listed at minus 375 favorite, and Tampa plus 250 underdog. I'm all over that plus 250. Tampa's right back in this thing, as you suggested, and that's a very big number for an underdog at this point. So all they have to do is drive it at home, and we got a 3-game set, and I think those odds are going to change dramatically at that point as well.
Yeah, Tampa Bay plus 250 to win right now. Thoughts on the Game 4 puck line? We got Avs minus 1.5 there, and you can get plus 230 odds on it, Paul.
Yeah, I think as much as I think Tampa should win this game, that's a big number too. So I'm tempted to grab a piece of that action. And I'm not quite sure why the teams are listed as even, almost at minus 150 each to win this game. I'm much more comfortable taking the home side on that bet.
All right, AJ.
Yeah, I think, plus 230 is really nice and very tempting, but I'm just not confident that either team is going to have, or rather that Colorado is going to be able to win by that sort of margin. I'm not even confident they're going to win the game. And you see that when you look at the money line. I think I would hedge towards the Lightning right now at minus 105 on that money line, but really, I need to see what's going on with Stammer with Kucherov rather, before I'm willing to put down any money on this game either way.
Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and let me just get your thoughts then on the total. So would that impact you? Maybe taking the over on 6 goals?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, money line, puck line, too early to tell. The over or the total here and hitting the over. I mean, it was 6 earlier today. I'm looking at it right now. It's 5.5. So I want to see like the alternate lines here, because I'd be willing to go all the way to 6.5 for this total. It's hit that in every single game. So I don't know why it dropped to 5.5 this morning. I really think 6.5 is probably a more likely final number here on that total.
Yeah, Paul, opened at 6 this morning. As AJ mentioned, 5.5 right now.
Yeah, I'm hammering the over as well. I think the number's a little low. AJ mentioned the teams have gone over the number in each of the first 3 games. There's way too much firepower, and none of the goalies is really at the top of the game. That includes Vasilevsky. I want to see him for 60 minutes do what he's done in prior series before I even consider going to the underside. But he looks like he did in the first series against the Leafs, where he gave up at least 3 in each game of the first 6 of that set. So I think we're seeing the same guy right now, and that's going to help the number get to the overside very early in this game. I think it's going to be another shootout.
I mean, it was like 15 minutes ago. That's what's wild about it. It's just moving all over the place. What about player props? Which ones are worth looking at right now? Any of them catch your eye, AJ?
The one for me that jumped out right away is Stamkos to get a goal at plus 150. I think that's decent value. You'll probably see that even, you'll probably get less value if Kucherov doesn't play. He'd be more likely to score. So grab that one now. And then the other one I kind of like is Corey Perry at plus 310. If either Point or Kucherov is out, Perry's the guy that they put on that top power play right away. So, not a huge goal scorer, but good opportunities there with the man advantage. So at plus 310, I like the value on that.
All right, did one jump out to you right away, Paul?
There's a couple. I like Victor Hedman to be a key figure in the games that they've absolutely had to have. He's been their best player, and we've seen that all throughout these playoffs, and I think it's going to happen again in Game 4. So I'd like to find the prop that says he's going to get at least 1.5 points. I think he's going over that. And then besides that, I think AJ's right on. Steven Stamkos knows that he's got to be the guy with the big shoulders here. The goal at plus 150 is something I'm going to be on. But I also like the plus 130 to get a point on the power play. And on the flip side, Nate McKinnon's been blanked for the first 3 games in terms of goal scoring. He has 14 shots and nothing to show for it in terms of bulging the twine. He'll pay plus 130 to get a point on the power play, and I think that's where I'm going to go with him.
All right, guys, we got Game 4. That'll arrive tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. We'll talk to both of you a little more about that tomorrow. But right after this break, I don't know if golf has been this interesting in a long, long time, and we have an update on another player making his way to Live Golf. Jason Sobel and Jeff Ulrich will join us right after this. over the weekend, Matt Fitzpatrick delivered a performance for the ages in his first major win. I mean, the U.S. Open is in the books. His first career major and first professional win, by the way, on U.S. soil. And the Country Club was perhaps the weekend's biggest star. And then some of the stars that were in the field struggled to live up to expectations, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. Jeff Frolrich's here, Jason Sobel of the Action Network. Also on your screen, he is on the grounds there in Cromwell, Connecticut, where the Travelers Championship will be held this week and later this weekend. We'll dive into some numbers on the DK Sportsbook in just a moment. But Jason, real quick, biggest takeaway from the latest major there at the Country Club in Brookline, where you were on the grounds all week.
Yeah, well, the first biggest takeaway was I was up in Boston for the entire week, and Emerson didn't even come out and hang out with me for 1 minute there. So that was
typical
really
of Emerson.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Sorry.
Second part of that, look, we try to figure out narratives all the time when we're trying to look at golf tournaments and prognosticate what might happen. We say, well, we've got this, we've got that. Take a walk down narrative street. Matt Fitzpatrick had every single narrative in play for him. The 2013 U.S. Amateur Champion at the Country Club. Stop me if you've heard that one. I don't know. If you took a drink every time you heard that, you didn't make it past Thursday. But also plays his best golf on tough golf courses, had been playing really well this year, leading the PGA Tour in total strokes gained until Rory McIlroy passed him just by a little bit the previous week. Everything working in Fitzpatrick's favor. Hey, sometimes that works in our favor, too, and we can figure something out by that.
Yeah, Jeff, I mean, if one thing stuck out to me, it's like Matt Fitzpatrick is the real thing here.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, it's so funny. We get on guys who don't break through like right away on the PGA Tour, but I mean, you go back to Matthew Fitzpatrick. I mean, the dude won the U.S. Amateur. Like that, he was talented coming out of college, and he's been talented ever since. He's won numerous times against stronger fields on the European Tour, and you can make fun of, oh, it's the European Tour, but like when you win 5 or 6 times over there, it does count for something. Got himself in contention a lot. I think the biggest thing with Matthew Fitzpatrick this year is just how he's changed his game. I mean, there's well spoken about how much longer he is off the tee. He hasn't really lost any of the accuracy that he had before. Just a massive factor. And then when you add in an all around the green game that was already world class, this result really doesn't seem that out of place. So kudos to him, a guy who really just took some God-given talent and obviously just, really capitalized on it. It was great to see. Player I'm glad to see break through. And, again, another player in Will Zalatoris who we'll probably see down the road do something similar. So great U.S. Open, great course in my opinion. And, hopefully they can just keep that ball rolling next year.
Yeah, and you know what? Live golfers in the field were not a factor, including now Brooks Koepka, guys, who reportedly this morning is on his way and will play in Portland next week. But right now, Jason, he's in the field at the Travelers. Do you expect him to play this week?
Look, I wouldn't think so, but Brooks does a lot of things that you don't think Brooks is going to do. And quite frankly, the PGA Tour can't remove him from the field. They can't suspend a player from the PGA Tour until they hit their first shot on Live Golf. This is for legal reasons. And so you're right. He's still in the field as we speak right now. I have absolutely no idea. I'm at the range right now. After we're done, I'm going to go take a little walk, see if I can find Brooks. I don't even know if he's on property or not. But if I see him, I'll ask him. But, yeah, technically, if he wants to play this week, I don't know why he would want to. He's getting essentially 9 figures, I assume, from Live Golf to start playing for them next week. I don't know why he wants to go out and finish in a share of 13th place for $120,000 at this one, but he can do whatever he feels like, and they can't kick him out this week.
And then, Jason, I believe you tweeted this morning that the PGA Tour held a players-only meeting. Is that correct? Do you know what was said in that by any chance?
There are a whole lot of questions and not a whole lot of answers, according to my sources. I'm actually writing a piece for the Action Network right now, but players were asking about the official World Golf Ranking and if Live Golf competitors will be able to get those ranking points, which essentially will be able to keep them qualified for major championships moving forward. And Jay Monahan, who's on the board for the official World Golf Ranking, Greg Norman has asked him to recuse himself from the voting process. Jay Monahan said, we'll see. I don't know yet. And they were asked about rumors that Live Golf is looking into purchasing the DP World Tour, formerly the European Tour, which has a partnership now with the PGA Tour. And Jay said, well, I don't know. We're not sure what's going on. So again, a lot of questions from the players, not a whole lot of answers from the folks who are running the tour right now.
Jeff, Brooks Koepka put on a clinic when it comes to gaslighting. And last week, you look at some of his comments about, the accusing of reporters of casting a dark cloud over the U.S. Open here.
How dare they?
Yeah, he strongly was denying going to the Live Tour and everything it was about. But then also so did, Colin Morikawa is recently doing that, as well. I don't know, how nervous should the PGA Tour be right now after this morning, Jeff? This new tour is not going anywhere, and it feels like they should be very proactive right now.
How dare these people question Brooks Koepka? He's trying to prepare for the U.S. Open, Emerson. No, he can't answer these questions. You're ruining the event by asking him about the Live Golf Tour. Look, when it comes down to it, it's just a numbers game for these players. If they can get into the majors, and they can play 10 events with big prize purses a year, that's what they want. And they are making their bed, and they're choosing to go to a rival tour. And I'm not necessarily saying it's the right move. I'm just saying that's what they want. And if they're going to get offered huge amounts of some of them are going to take it, especially the guys who, as we're seeing with Brooks Koepka, kind of right now looks like he might be on the downside of his career. Why is he in Connecticut right now? I don't really know. Maybe he wants to pile up some golf rankings before he goes. And I'm being serious there. He's not playing very well lately. So maybe he just wants to pile up some golf ranking points before he goes to this new tour, which may not even get it. So, yeah, there's a lot of question marks still to be resolved. You hear guys like Morikawa talking right now, who are all of a sudden being less than forthcoming about their stance on the tour. It's a little bit of a nervous time. And then you've got the DP World Tour as well. It's definitely setting up for a pretty big showdown. So I think some players have made their stances pretty clear that they're going to stay, the Schefflers, the Rorys, the Spieths. But, when at this point, anything you say, any move you make is going to get dissected and analyzed. So Morikawa's put himself out there now to be overanalyzed. I have no idea what's going on with him. But as far as Koepka goes, I think he's just in the field right now to prove a point that, he's basically just giving one little snub your finger to the PGA Tour before he goes. As for DFS and betting, you can basically just forget that he exists this week, in my opinion, because there's too much going on for him to succeed in this tournament.
Yeah, again,
quick update, Emerson.
Yeah.
Before we go too much further, a little quick update. Colin Morikawa not going anywhere, said he will stay with the PGA Tour. I expect at least one, maybe two more announcements today. I believe the field list will be out soon for next week's Live event at Pumpkin Ridge. Expect there to be a few openings on that list and maybe filled in between now and then, which means they will be signing some more players. I've been hearing a lot of big names, some of whom maybe just rumor, some of whom are in the process of negotiating, some of whom maybe it's a done deal, but we'll find out over the next week or so.
Yeah, Colin Morikawa committing to the PGA is very good for the PGA. No, they start losing players like that, and it's looking bleak.
He has tweeted to state for the record once again, you all are absolutely wrong. I've said it since February at Riviera that I'm here to play on the PGA Tour, and nothing has changed. Now, if you excuse me, I've got some cereal to pour in my milk, which makes me love him even more as being a cereal guy myself. So yes. Jason, it's like Panda Watch, but it's Brooks Watch there in Connecticut. How is the course looking this week?
This course is always beautiful. They do a great job with it. It plays just over 6,800 yards, one of the shortest, if not the shortest golf courses on the PGA Tour. But there's a reason why year after year, guys who have just played in the pressure cooker that is the U.S. Open, superstar players who don't necessarily need to be here, keep coming back. Rory McIlroy, Justin Thomas, Scotty Scheffler, Jordan Spieth, Xander Schauffele, Sam Burns, they're all in the field this week. Look, I'm telling you, everyone always accuses this event of giving out appearance fees or, doing something to get these guys. They just essentially are really great people. This is like my fifth major. I lived here for a long time. I admittedly know the people that run this event really well, and they do an amazing job every single year. So I love coming back here. But so do the players. Players say, hey, can you do maybe this a little bit better? Can you do that? And they go and fix it. They do what the players want. They cater to the players really well, and that's why the players keep coming back year after year. It's amazing how this event has grown. 16 years ago, this event was off the PGA Tour schedule. It was dead in the water. It was not going to be played. Travelers came in, saved the event, and has not only saved it, but turned it into a pretty good event on the PGA Tour every year.
Yeah, and now, Jeff, Rory has essentially become this like face and voice of the PGA Tour. And what do you know? He and Scotty Scheffler top of the board right now, plus 900 odds, best odds in this field. Do you like to take either one of them this week, Rory or the world number one?
No, I mean, look, this is a great event. I mean, it's always voted highly by the players. That's why they get like guys like Scheffler and Rory coming here after the U.S. Open. But if I was looking at one of those two, I would definitely probably lean with Scheffler. His approach game was off the charts last week. He was basically a putt or two away from winning his second major of the year. So Scheffler is the dude I would lean to there. But one thing about the Travelers and just TPC River Highlands, it's a bit of a shorter course. It's obviously it's set up fun for the players. Like, it's a fun course. There's a lot of different quirky little hole designs, a lot of short par fours, but it does bring other players into play. And we've typically seen a lot of players like in the plus 5,000 range. Even when Dustin Johnson won, he was like plus 2,800. So I just don't really think it's a week where you need to look too hard at the guys at the start of the board. Scheffler is interesting given how well he played last week. And we saw Harris English come to this event after finishing third at the U.S. Open in 2021 and win. But for me, the price on Scheffler, it's just not going to get big enough. It's not going to get to like plus 1,200, which is what I'd want it to be. So I'd be looking down the board rather than starting with those two in the betting.
All right, Jason, is this a week where maybe you look at one of the favorites?
So, Emerson, I'm going to preface all this preview content by saying that I have done less work previewing this event than any other event all year. I was at the U.S. Open all week, working 14-hour days there. The country club killed my laptop. It tried it. Modern technology is no match for the country club. So I'm writing up preview content on my phone. I'm here working on live golf rumors and news out here at TPC River Highlands. So I haven't broken down the golf course. I haven't broken down the field as well as I admittedly should have and what I usually do. That said, look at the top of the board. A couple of names I like. It's hard not to like all the guys. I'm for the most part fading the guys who are in serious contention last week. There are a couple guys that I do like a little bit. Doesn't mean Scotty Scheffler can't bounce back from what he did last week, finishing in the share of second place and come win at this one. Scotty Scheffler is good enough to win any place, anytime. But I like Jordan Spieth. I feel like he's getting a little bit of a second wind after being sick last week. Have it on good authority that if the U.S. Open had started one day earlier, or if he got sick one day later, he would not have been teeing it up in the event. Just happened that the timing worked out a little bit better for him. But now that he's feeling better, now that he's healthy, I expect him to be back on his game. Of course, won here a few years ago. And Patrick Cantlay, not getting it done in the major championships whatsoever over the past year and a half, but non-major championships, he's played great lately. And this is a course where he's played well in the past. Really like Patrick Cantlay moving forward as well.
Yeah, Jeff, you really like Patrick Cantlay entering the U.S. Open. Ended T14 plus 2, so he's plus 1,400 on the board. You think maybe you just missed him by a week?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I think when it boils down to it, I'm just not sure if the U.S. Open is ever going to be really Patrick Cantlay's cup of tea. He's obviously, he's not old, but I mean, he is 30 now. And I just think with the injuries in his career, he prefers a bit of a softer setup. And I think this week is definitely one. I mean, he likes it. He likes this setup. He shot 60 here in 2011 when he was first on tour, like basically his first year playing the course. He's finished T15 or better at this event, obviously, each of the past 4 seasons. He's got the type of all-around game, too, that's going to flourish here. So Patrick Cantlay is definitely a player I can get behind. And a plus 1,400, it's not the biggest number, but, we've seen 2 good starts from him in a row. Let's not forget, he did shoot 1 under par on Saturday and Sunday combined at the U.S. Open. So it's not like he was terrible on the weekend either. It's just, he didn't get himself in contention with those first 2 rounds. So Patrick Cantlay is definitely a player I would be looking at, and that's probably where I would start if you want a player at the top of the board this week. He's still looking for that first stroke play win in 2022. Obviously, he's had a couple playoff losses. I think he looks fine. I think his game looks fine. I just think that, again, the U.S. Open, maybe not going to be the best major to target Patrick Cantlay going forward, but events like this, when he's in form like this, yeah, absolutely. Patrick Cantlay can take down this field.
Live and learn, Jeff. And Jason, again, I know you're overcoming the technology adversity that's been thrown your way without a computer. You're literally putting the golf world on your back like JanSport. But what about a long shot? Is there a long shot in this field that maybe catches your eye early on?
Yeah, so I mentioned that I'm not going to back a whole lot of guys that were in contention last week. There are 2, though, who I like. Joel Damon has played well here in the past, and he's coming off a heater at the U.S. Open. I expect this to it can go both ways. It can either go, hey, I just played in the U.S. Open. I'm mentally exhausted, physically exhausted. I just got nothing going into this one. Or it's, hey, I'm riding a wave of momentum coming off of that. This feels easy compared to what I dealt with last week. And I think there's a little of that for Damon. And I know he hasn't played really well here in the past, but Denny McCarthy's playing some great golf. I've always thought a shorter golf course in the Northeast should be right up his alley. This is a perfect Denny McCarthy type of golf course. The way he's playing right now, I know we always look at him as just a putter, but his ball striking's been much improved as well. I like him for a little bit of a long shot as well. There are probably a lot of guys on that list, but I'll start it with those two.
It's funny, Jeff, we were texting this weekend, and we're both like, oh my God, it's pronounced Damon, not Damen, like we've been doing for the past, however many years.
Yeah, I mean, I have an excuse. I mispronounce everyone's name, but I don't know what you were doing, pal.
Well,
I mean, you should know this.
I was following you. I thought you always lead by example, and I know now to never follow you again.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're following me,
I'm lost.
R.I.P. But I'm going to go with the guy who Jason and I both like. And I mean, he showed up on the leaderboard for a while last year, or last week, excuse me. I think for a second there, I thought he actually had a shot. It's Aaron Wise, a plus 5,000. This guy was second in strokes gained around the greens last week, second only to Matthew Fitzpatrick. Aaron Wise's game is absolutely looking fantastic right now. He's got everything you want. And again, much kind of like Patrick Cantlay, I feel like just coming off the U.S. Open to this easier setup is somewhere where, you're going to see Aaron Wise succeed more often than not. He's got that all-around game where it's just going to flourish at a course where there's all these scoreable par fours. So plus 5,000, I mean, give me this guy again. If we're riding any momentum, yeah, he's going to be disappointed by Sunday, but he was right up there. He was hanging with the front runners for about 50 holes. I think Aaron Wise is ready to break through this season very soon. Plus 5,000, a very fair number in my opinion. And then one long shot, Cam Davis, Aussie, plus 15,000. He's third at the RBC. Hilton Edge is seventh at Colonial. Two other shorter tracks. For a big hitter, he plays these shorter technical tracks really well. His approach game is trending. The putter's been solid for Cam Davis. It's just too big. I think you should look to Cam Davis for a top 10 bet this week too.
All right, we'll get everyone out of here with just your early pick right now to win the Travelers. We know a lot can change here in the field next couple days, but right now, Jason, who you feeling?
So first of all, I echo Jeff's sentiment on Aaron Wise. Basically, Aaron Wise and Keith Mitchell are the two guys that are essentially auto plays for me every week. I think each of them is going to win, and they're going to win at some point sooner rather than later. So I see them at the numbers they're at right now, and I just play them. Even if I don't necessarily love him for this specific event, I'll play Wise and Mitchell moving forward. Love the number this week on Webb Simpson. DraftKings, I believe, has him at 80-1, which is a great number for a guy who knows how to win a golf tournament. He's trending just gradually in the right direction, but my favorite outright play on the board this week is a young guy. All these superstars here in the field, I'm going to go with a superstar in waiting. Davis Riley has played some tremendous golf over the last 3 months. I know he's a rookie, but that's in name only. I'm telling you, he's on the same trajectory as a Will Zalatoris, just maybe 6 to 12 months behind him on the timeline. Davis Riley has what it takes to win. And as we've seen over the last few months, plays his best golf, at least at this point in his career. This can change, but with a small sample size, plays his best golf on courses where you can make a lot of birdies. So he's not going to go win a U.S. Open yet in his career, even though he played pretty well. He was up there on the leaderboard for a few days last week. But on a course where you can shoot 17, 18, 19, 20 under par to win it, like this one at River Highlands, I think Davis Riley's a really nice play. He's 50-1 this week.
Jeff, talk to me, Goose. Your pick to win.
Yeah, I mean, look, Jason and I targeting the same type of players this week. I'm going to go with Aaron Wise just because that's the player I already brought up. But Davis Riley definitely going to be on my card this week, too. I think it's a good week to target that mid-range. One other player I wouldn't be shocked bounces back is Sung J M, another good, young, all-around player. But that's the type of skill set you need at the Travelers. I think that's the type of skill set you're going to see succeed here as well.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. Jason, good work there. Enjoy Connecticut, my friend. We'll be following you for the latest on what's going on between the PGA Tour and LIV. After this break, guys, Steve versus Garion, picks on the diamond coming up. All right, everybody. Not so much drama on the diamond, but between Steve and Garion, all that drama, mama. Let's go. So we got Thorne in my side, Steve Buchanan, Garion Thorne here. The series is tied at 2 now. So, Steve, your tanking continues because Garion wins a second straight week. Like, this is unbelievable. It should be illegal what you're doing.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, if you look at those scores, like, it's not like I didn't try. Garion just had the better picks last week. Like, I actually gave it
It's also not like I didn't win the first time we did a 7-game
Look
series.
at this.
It should be illegal the way he's tanking.
Look
I'll
at
give him
old
credit.
Look at old Chippy Buchanan over here. Again, we got to remind everyone. More than 100 years ago, like his grandfather, the Black Sox scandal, for crying out loud. You can't be shocked what Steve's doing here, Garion.
I'm picking winners is what's happening. Okay.
Okay, wait,
Can we also just bring up how good I look for looking like that in 1919 and looking exactly the same
Well, I think that's
here
your
in 2022?
That's your grandfather, bro. That's not you.
Grandfather.
No, that was me. That was me. That was me.
All right, sounds good. All of a sudden, we're like Back to the Future here, I guess. Whatever. All right, let's get into this week's picks. Garion, you once again are behind the wheel because you have tied the series up 2 apiece. So let's go. Pitcher. Who is your pitcher tonight, Gare Bear?
I mean, should reiterate, I'm behind the wheel because I won the series. I won the first series.
Okay,
Anyway.
I understand that, but
No, it's fine. You know, I'm not on commercials, so it's okay. I don't have any standing at this company. It's fine. It's okay.
Oh, wow. Don't attack me because I'm handsome.
You know what? That's true. You are.
Thank you.
You're a handsome little devil, man. Spencer Strider, also handsome little devil. He's got that mustache. He's rocking the Top Gun stash. Real trendy right now. He's also been a very trendy DFS play. And really, until DraftKings decides they want to price this guy above $9,000, you kind of just have to keep going back to him. Just phenomenal strikeout numbers. You know, usually when you've got a guy who's transitioning from the bullpen to a role as a starter, you see a pretty massive dip in that strikeout rate just because he can't go full exertion for 106 pitches, which is what he threw in his last outing against Washington. However, his strikeout rate as a reliever was 38.9%. It's been 38.3% as a starter. You're really not losing anything with the transition he's made out of the bullpen. He's been absolutely phenomenal as a starter, really in any role that the Braves have needed him so far this season. The Giants have not been one of the better offenses in baseball the past couple of weeks. Across the last 14 days, they have just a 293 WOBA. They also have the 5th highest strikeout rate in baseball, up over 25% in that span of time. So seems like we've got maybe another double-digit strikeout game on the horizon for Strider tonight.
Steve, does your pitcher tonight have a mustache?
I do not believe so, but I can't say that I look at Sean Manaea on a weekly basis. So to be determined on that. He does have a big beard. That's correct. Yeah, he does have a big beard. But I like him tonight going against the Arizona Diamondbacks, pitching for the Padres tonight, who, by the way, is probably like one of the best values on the board to win the World Series right now. 13-1. They're a half game out of the NL West. Just a little tidbit in there. That's a little extra. Don't count that for anything. It's just a little extra for the people. But going up against the Arizona Diamondbacks, who struggle against left-handed pitching, they have a 300 WOBA against them on the year, an 88 WRC plus, and striking out almost 24% of the time. Manaea striking out over a batter an inning. A little shaky with the command as of late, but that's okay. We're going against the Diamondbacks. I don't think this is going to be a team that's looking to draw some walks. They can't even hit. So they're not going to be drawing walks if they can't even hit either. So Sean Manaea would be my second choice overall. The first choice is Spencer, but Garion gets to submit his picks first, so I just go with the second best option. This is your 1B option for tonight. Sean Manaea against the Diamondbacks.
All right, Garion, how expensive is your infielder tonight?
Relatively expensive, but he probably should be more expensive considering by WRC plus he's the best hitter in the National League. But Paul Goldschmidt's only $5,400 tonight, and Aaron Ashby going on the IL yesterday gave us all just the best gift. This is basically DFS Christmas on the first day of summer. Chichi Gonzalez is making an emergency spot start.
Oh,
just
boy.
amazing times. Just incredible times. We love picking on Chichi Gonzalez. He is terrible. This guy, going back to the start of last season, has allowed opposing right-handed bats to hit 327 with a 644 slugging percentage. There's a reason that Minnesota was like, please, Milwaukee, please just take this guy. We don't want him anywhere near our team anymore. And Milwaukee was like, oh God, is there anyone else? And they're like, nah, Ashby's on the IL. We got to start Chi tonight. So Paul Goldschmidt, who again has just been tearing the cover off the ball, even when he's facing good pitchers. I expect him to do a lot of damage tonight against Chi.
All right, Steven, talk to me about your infielder here, dude.
Yeah, I got to go with Matt Olson, who is pretty cheap tonight. He's in the low 4K range, 4,300, I believe it is, going up against the returning Anthony DeSclafani, coming back from the minors during his minor league start there. And we know the deal with him. This is somebody who has struggled against left-handed bats all throughout his career. Now, Olson hasn't been hitting for the power that I think we expected with the Braves in terms of home runs, but he's absolutely crushing it with doubles. He has 27 on the season, just absolutely grabbing those extra base hits there, which is also great if you're taking the over 1.5 bases. That clears it, obviously, in an instant there. But the price tag on Olson is just too cheap tonight in a matchup he should strive in. DeSclafani, like I mentioned, always has worse numbers against lefties than he does righties. This Braves lineup is very right-handed heavy, so I wouldn't be crazy about stacking the Braves overall, but kind of cherry-picking those lefties, especially with Olson most likely hitting in the cleanup spot tonight. Give me Olson as a cheaper infielder option that you can use.
All right, how about take us to the outfield, Garion?
Gonna go with Shohei Ohtani at $5,600 going up against the Royals and Jonathan Heasley. He's had his struggles with left-handed bats so far this season. They're averaging 2.76 home runs per 9 against Heasley so far this season. Also a 407 WOBA. Ohtani, obviously one of the best left-handed hitters in all of baseball. And while it doesn't really feel like he's having the same type of offensive season as he had last year, his 393 expected WOBA in 2022 is the exact same number he had as his actual WOBA last season, right there at 393. So Ohtani's still hitting the cover off the baseball. The results just haven't quite been there like they were last season, but I think he gets things back on track tonight against Heasley.
Bukes, outfield.
Yeah, so Juan Soto's only 5,200 tonight. That feels pretty nice. Even for somebody over 5K, that's somebody that's not overly expensive. And the matchup tonight is a good one. It's expected, it hasn't been officially announced yet, but it's expected that Jordan Lyles is going to start this game after he was scratched on Sunday because he had a stomach ache. That's literally the reason why, all the feels in the stomach. So he was scratched. That works out even better because now he's going up against Juan Soto. The number for Lyles against lefties are just absolutely putrid. 395 WOBA against him, a 5.53 FIP, and 6 of the 10 home runs that he's allowed. Lyles has been throwing a ton of pitches in these starts. He hasn't gone more than 5 in the third inning, I think in 5 starts. And at that point, he's over at, it was like 90 plus pitches. So he's throwing all these pitches. You're going to get men on base. You're going to get traffic on the base pass. And who is that traffic going to be on the base pass? Juan Soto. So give me someone who is absolutely crushing righties and somebody who struggles against lefties. Give me Juan Soto at 5,200.
All right, Gary, now give me a value play for tonight.
I'm with Steve in that I think this Baltimore-Washington game has the potential to be really high scoring. You've just got a pair of underwhelming starting pitchers, and specifically on Washington's side, a terrible bullpen. They've got the second highest bullpen FIP in all of baseball at 4.47, and I think Ryan Mountcastle can really take advantage of that. Mountcastle is $3,900 tonight. Quietly been like one of the hottest hitters in baseball. In the month of June, Mountcastle has an isolated power above 370 and a 180 WRC plus. So he is not lacking in power. He is not lacking in upside. And he is less than 4K tonight. Again, going into a matchup where I don't really fear any possible arm that the Washington Nationals can throw at him.
Steven, who's your value play?
Yeah, going with the Tigers, Spencer Torkelson is quietly starting to hit for the Tigers a little bit. I know a lot of the attention has been to Riley Green over the past couple of days or so, but Torkelson starting to hit a little bit. 333 over the past week, has a couple extra base hits in that time. 3 games over double-digit fantasy points during that as well. He has dropped near the bare minimum, and now he's going up against Rich Hill, the lefty. Obviously, I've never been a big Rich Hill fan at any point in my life, even though he's pitching for the Boston Red Sox. Wasn't thrilled about that, but there he is. Okay, Old Man Mountain on the mound tonight, throwing every curveball imaginable. think this is a good spot for Torkelson. Rich Hill has been extreme peaks and valleys throughout his tenure for the Red Sox, which is, I think, his 7th time around. I'm not sure. But Torkelson, the way he's been hitting as of late, near the bare minimum, I think it's a good spot to grab him and be a nice value in your lineup.
Gary, and your favorite bet this week. This you did not win last week.
I mean, my bet won. We just both won our bets. I'm pretty sure.
You
Again,
did. I'm looking at it here.
Disrespect
Yes.
that I faced on this show every single week.
Wow.
Why I come back, I do
Is
not
Adam
know. I guess
Kaufman here?
it's to give winners. I guess it's just to give winners. And I got another one here tonight. Cardinals money line just -130 because they're on the road. But I mentioned Chichi Gonzalez, man. Like, I know Jack Flaherty did not look good in his first start, but he's not Chichi Gonzalez. And also, the Brewers' offense has really hit a cold spell after a hot start to the season. They have just an 89 WRC plus in the month of June. They're also just 1-6 in their last 7 games at home. So I don't really see much of a reason to trust the Brewers tonight. I will take the Cardinals as slight road favorites.
What do you got, Steve? What do you got for your favorite bet?
Yeah, so looking at that Mets-Astros game, you can get over 4.5 runs through the first 5 innings. Give me that one. Trevor Williams going up against Jose Urquidy, 2 pitchers. I mean, look, Trevor Williams has been okay. But, like, we go through this every single year where Trevor Williams will have, like, 2 good months and everyone's like, oh, actually, maybe he's pitching well. And then all of a sudden, the floor comes out and he's in free fall mode. That could actually start here tonight against one of the better offenses in the league in the Houston Astros, who, by the way, are minus 2,500 to win the AL West here on June 21st. Whatever. Mariners still going to win. So you got Trevor Williams going. You got Jose Urquidy, who's been getting shelled, by the way. His FIP is approaching 6 on the year. Going now against the Mets. Oh, boy. Trevor Williams' numbers on the road have been much worse than they are at home. They're in Houston tonight. His ERA on the road approaching 4.5. Give me over 4.5 runs through the first 5 innings for Mets and Astros.
And a friendly reminder, everybody, the past 2 weeks, it's been Garion winning, not Steve tanking, according to Garion. Good stuff,
Correct.
Gare Bear. All right,
I'm not
guys.
going to be here next week.
Oh, is that true?
Wow.
No, I'm protesting.
All right. No, because you need to get paid, so you'll be here. All right, you two have a good one. We'll talk some NFL spin move, and also we're going to tease a special edition of the Sweat tomorrow. Apparently, Julian still works here, and he's going to be part of that. So stick around.
No way.
Yeah, believe. Ladies and gentlemen, join us tomorrow, 11 o'clock Eastern Time in the morning for a special edition of The Sweat. We're going to run an NBA mock draft for the lottery picks ahead of Thursday's NBA draft. DraftKings contributor Julian Edlow, apparently coming back from his 2-month-long vacation. DK Nation's Colin Sherman, RotoWire's Nick Whalen will join us to play GM, forecast the first 14 picks of the draft. We're also going to take a look at some of the betting markets around the draft, so join us again tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock Eastern Time here on The Sweat. So let's go ahead, and speaking of the NBA, let's talk NFL with Jeff and Pierce for NFL Spin Move. Let's put a DFS or fantasy spin on the latest NFL storylines. I guess a couple of teams, guys, were fined last week for having practices that were too physical. A couple teams, couple tailors on the teams. Anyway, those are the Cowboys and the Commanders, which had us kind of looking at the DK Sportsbook here. One bet for the division is division total wins, i.e. how many wins will a team have in division games. So, for example, here, Cowboys set at 3.5, basically a 4-2 record in the NFC East. How do you like that number for them, Pierce?
I like it. Historically, these teams play each other pretty tightly, but when we look at the talent on the page, I mean, all the teams have improved, but still, you got to go with the Cowboys. They're the best team here in the division. Maybe Washington could take a couple wins from them and knock them down. Washington has a great defense. The offense is definitely lacking. I mean, Washington could have made the playoffs possibly last season if it wasn't for all the injuries they were dealing with. Probably had more injuries than the other team. Then he had the COVID issues on top of that. Ron Rivera has made the playoffs before with a team that didn't really have much of an offense. But ultimately, I think you still just got to go with the Cowboys. They've got all the players on the page. You worry a little bit about their offensive line. You worry a little bit about their running game. And there could be a little bit of defensive regression. They don't get a bunch of turnovers. But we still need to see a big step forward from the Giants. We need to see a step forward offensively from Washington. I don't count on Wentz really playing that well. And I'm just not as high on Philadelphia as Jeff is. So 4-2 seems pretty likely.
All right, so Jeff, with you being so high on Philly, does that mean no on 4-2 here? No on the 3.5?
Yeah, I mean, like, I do still think Dallas is probably the best team in the division. It's really close. I won't be shocked if the Eagles do kind of, just take them over. I just think that I'd rather back Nick Sirianni. I'd rather back, like Jalen Hurts and the kind of just a more innovative offense. Especially and at plus money. I mean, you can get the Eagles over 3.5 wins at plus 110 versus the Cowboys at minus 120. And that's kind of what this comes down to. I feel like these teams should be closer to equal in terms of the betting odds for this one. So, as far as Washington goes, I mean, their defense certainly should bounce back this year. They were riddled by injuries, and then that's a factor. But I just don't like where their offense is going. Terry McLaurin now just may not even be on the team. And then you've brought in Carson Wentz as your savior. Like, it's just – I just don't know if they're going to be able to overcome that. I rank them a pretty clear third. I do think that the Giants are probably not going to be that much of a worry for these top teams either. So I think that one of Philly or even both of Philly and Dallas will get there. I just rather take the plus money with the Eagles right now. I'm not super confident either one of these teams. Yeah, I like the Eagles mainly because I like Jalen Hurts. And I like to back the young upstart team, which I kind of feel like the Eagles are. But it's still the NFC East. This is still a weaker division. Honestly, not really expecting either one of these teams, the Cowboys or the Eagles, to be like some dominant force this year.
With or without Scary Terry, can you see Washington making a run at the top of the division, though, Jeff? Because you can bet on finishing position on the DK Sportsbook. The Commanders plus 450 to win the division. Okay, I'm kind of picking up what you're putting down. You don't believe that will happen, but plus 280 to finish second?
Yeah, not for me. Like Washington – again, it's just a team that I just feel like it's kind of nondescript at this point. I mean, yeah, their defense could bounce back, but are they even going to be the best defense in the division? Like the Eagles' defense has gotten a lot better too. We know the Cowboys have a ton of talent. This might still be the third best unit in terms of defense in the division. I just don't know how you can back them at anything bigger than like third place. So, you look down the specials and obviously you can hit up a ton of different teams here, but like, Washington and to be in the top two is definitely not a bet I'm interested. If I was looking, for a bet to take on for the NFC East, I would probably just bet the Eagles to win. I mean, they're still plus 165 to win the division. I think that with them getting plus money, that's where I would go personally. Again, like a lot of the additions that they made and, just not a huge believer in any team led by Mike McCarthy.
All right, Pierce. Which position would you bet here for the Commanders to finish first, second, third, or fourth?
I'll take them first. I don't believe that it's that much of a stretch for Washington to take that step forward. As I mentioned before, if Dallas doesn't get a bazillion turnovers and there's going to be regression, that's going to change a lot of things. That's going to take some of those wins and turn them into losses, put them into negative game scripts. They were very beneficial, or they benefited immensely from all the turnovers. As I mentioned, they lost some offensive linemen. The running game's not really there. I mean, they're one injury away from completely falling off this division. And then who's going to take over? I just don't think that it's going to be Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts is a great running back, but I don't see his quarterback potential just yet. Maybe he'll make a big step forward with better receivers. But I think it's still too early. It's a wait-and-see approach with Philadelphia. New York, they need another season or two. Washington can simply just get there by playing good defense. As I mentioned, Ron Rivera, which is defensive-minded teams, conservative offenses, which is a Carson Wentz offense, can get it done. At the end of last season, they were holding teams under 20 points routinely. They have all the defensive pieces there. It was just injuries. They stay slightly healthy, and they've got a real shot of leapfrogging over the Cowboys.
Guys, there's a boatload of division-based bets that you to choose from on the DK Sportsbook. One of them's called Division Straight Forecast, where you can bet on the combo of teams in the division to finish like 1 and 2. So, for example, like in the AFC East here, if the Bills and Patriots will go 1-2, you can get plus 240 on that bet. Do any of these catch your eye? If so, which ones, Pierce?
You know, the Bills-Patriots seems pretty safe. If most of us are picking the Bills to be the best team in football, win the Super Bowl, well, then obviously they're going to win the AFC East. So you pencil them in at number 1. You look at the division, who can be number 2. It seems to me that it's going to be the Patriots. I know the Dolphins, a lot of changes there. They've improved their offensive line. They've brought in receivers. They've got the new whiz kid head coach. Tua, maybe with a better line, is going to play better. We'll have to wait and see. The only reason we're considering Miami is because they go on these hot streaks at the end of each season. If they didn't close out the last 2 seasons with these insane defensive-led hot streaks, then we really wouldn't even be considering them. The Jets are playing better, but we don't really expect them to take a big leap forward this year, especially when you look at Zach Wilson's numbers. Bad pass rate was the worst in the league. His hurry rate was the worst in the league. His pressure rate was the worst in the league. His on-target rate was the worst in the league. Even if he does improve, they're not going to be a second-place team. I think Patriots 2, Bills 1 is a very safe bet.
I mean, if you're just looking at that division, Jeff, Bills-Dolphins 1-2 actually has the shortest odds at plus 110.
Yeah, but I mean, again, you like the Dolphins, you like the Mike McDaniels hire, you like, I guess they're adding more speed with Tyreek Hill, sure, but like we've seen time and time again, you throw boatloads of money at these wide receivers, and a guy like Tyreek Hill, now he's got the contract tied up and he gets a little hamstring issue. Is he going to be more motivated to come back on the field? No. And then you've got the rookie head coach factor. Like, it's got to go up against the Bills and Bill Belichick 4 times this season. Rookie head coaches, they just don't really do that well in their first year most often. So I just don't see this Dolphins team either as being like super, super good, where it's not going to matter who the coach is. I think Tua is still very limited in what they do. I still think that like their defense, especially like run wise, has some issues. So I'm looking at the Dolphins as a team that I don't know. I mean, like I'm not going out of my way to fade, but like in terms of the straight forecast, yeah, the Bills and the Patriots make a ton of sense here. Are the Patriots good enough to take down the Bills? No one in this division is. The Bills are outside of catastrophic injury issues, are going to win this division. And the Patriots, what do they have to do? They're going to beat up on the Jets, and then they just got to take over the Dolphins and like maybe even just split that series. So I look at the Patriots as being a pretty solid back, and a plus 240, like you just mentioned, you're getting better odds to take the Patriots to finish second than you are to the Dolphins. So that's definitely one of my favorite. Another division you could look for the straight forecast, I think NFC West. I like San Francisco to win that division. You get San Francisco, LA plus 300, and you can even get fancy. San Francisco first, Arizona Cardinals second at plus 750. You're going to fade the Rams. You can take both those bets, weight your bets appropriately, and cash wherever the Rams come in.
Guys, we have 90 seconds to go in show. Need you quick on this one. You can bet the exact order of division, which means, you got to get all 4 teams correct. Is there an NFL division, in your opinion, that's so locked in you would actually bet this right now, Jeff?
I have looked over this, and like legitimately, my brain is about to explode looking at all these bets. So I really feel like if you're going for value here, I think that the NFC North is a place, and I should have mentioned this one in the last bets too, but after the Packers, and it's kind of like the AFC East. Like what is the big difference between these teams? The Vikings have a rookie head coach. They're the clear favorites to finish second. I think that the Lions are a team that could easily finish second in this division. So first Packers, second Lions, third Vikings, fourth Bears, plus 1,000. Let's back the Lions.
Okay.
I think that one is one I'm definitely in on right now. Plus 1,000, I think just big enough odds. And again, I really do like the Lions. I think they're neck and neck with the Vikings in terms of talent right now.
Pierce, you have 10 seconds. Just give me the pick.
AFC West plus 2,500, Raiders, Chargers, Chiefs, and the Broncos.
Okay, how about AFC South? First, the Jaguars, Titans, Colts, Texans, plus 1,500. Thank me later, people. That's it. Thanks for watching The Sweat, presented by DraftKings. We're back here in studio. Special NBA Draft Edition. We're going to rip through the lottery picks, first 14 of them, tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock Eastern Time. We'll see you then.